Go to some scary movie.
Like scary movies?
Uh-huh.
What's your favorite scary movie?
Look at me, Damien. It's all for you.
Kill her, Mommy. Kill her.
We all go a little mad sometimes.
This is my boomstick. Here's Johnny.
I have to return some videotapes.
We'll tear your soul apart.
Hello and welcome to a spooky seasonal episode of All Things Horror. I am your host Ben and I'm joined here with my co-host Matt. If you're new to the show, each week we choose a movie to break down and review, we give our honest opinions and rate it from 1 to 10. We have a brief spoiler-free chat about the movie before heading into the plot and discussing our favourite and least favourite parts of the movie. As we're recording this, it is Halloween, so it seems fitting that we continue our journey through the Halloween franchise. So this week, we're going to be talking about Halloween 3, Season of the Witch from 1982. But before we do, let's take a quick look at the trailer.
You don't really know much about Halloween. Halloween. The barriers will be down between the real and the unreal. And the dead might be looking in. The last great one took place 3,000 years ago when the hills ran red.
Halloween, the children.
You happen to know anything about this Cochran?
All I can tell you, mister, is watch out. He's watching you, friend, I guarantee you that.
Trick or treat, trick or treat.
Hey, Mr. Cochran, just what is the final process?
Fellas, I was just kidding.
Witchcraft. To us, it was a way of controlling our environment.
Hey!
Where are they taking her?
They're taking her to the factory.
I want a mask. Can I have a mask?
Just what I had in mind for you, little buddy. Why, Cocker? Why? Do I need a reason?
I've got nothing here to indicate there was ever a body at all.
Operator, this is an emergency.
I do love a good joke, and this is the best ever. A joke on the children. I'm glad you'll be able to watch it.
You've got to believe me!
They're going to kill us. All of us.
Stop it!
The world's going to change tonight, Doctor. Happy Halloween.
Stop it!
Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. The night no one comes home.
Season of the witch.
The children across the USA want a silver shamrock mask for Halloween. However, Ellie Grimbridge and Dr. Daniel Chalice investigates the strange activities of the owner of the Silver Shamrock novelties. It's written and directed by Tommy Lee Wallace, produced by Debra Hill and John Carpenter. Main cast is Tom Atkins, Stacey, Nelkin, and Dan O'Herlihy?
Herlihy, I think it is. Herlihy.
Herlihy, yeah.
You said that in a really Irish way.
Herlihy. Runtime of hour 39 minutes. Available on Amazon Prime and Lionsgate. Yeah, this was a first watch for me. You've been mentioning this literally since day one of the podcast, I think. You said it was your go-to movie of choice for Halloween, both franchise and seasonal holiday.
Yeah, I watch it on... it's my favourite of the Halloween series, and it's also what I tend to watch on the... I watched it early this year because we were doing the podcast, but I normally watch it on the day. So, like when we were recording today. Happy Halloween, people who are listening. In the future, but yeah, it's a favourite of mine. I think it's so good in so many different ways. it's people are turning around to it now. And I think it was the least liked out of all of the Halloween films. Maybe I think like when you sent me the notes, and it was like 28% audience people, initially, because they were just wanting Michael Myers. They want Michael Myers, which is fine. If they were to go down the different route each film afterwards, it's quite interesting to see what they would have done, for 4, 5, and 6 if this had been popular. Just kept going with a different film every year, completely separate from the Michael Myers story. That'd be really interesting. But like I love the Silver Shamrock. I love the visuals. I love the music because it's John Carpenter music. I love the story. I love the 3 little characters, the witch and the skeleton and the pumpkin. I just love the whole thing about the Silver Shamrock. It's just something that I know it's not like high art, but it's so much fun for me. It's just a film that I love. I almost got instant nostalgia watching it. Wow. So yeah. Okay. I have a feeling that you're not going to agree. But then again, for the first time watching 2023, maybe I would have had a completely different opinion on it too.
Maybe. When was the first time you watched this then?
I can't. It might have been one of the first horror films that I've watched when I started really getting into horror. And I'm not sure I liked it that much then. And then I went back to it, and then I saw some really cool artwork related to it, and I think I just bought into the whole thing really. Okay. I like Tom Atkins as well. He's pretty much good in everything. He's such a funny character in this, though, isn't he? Because he's a hero, yet everything about him isn't a hero. No. Like everything about him is like what a horrible person he is, but actually, he's the main hero. Everybody loves Dr. Dan.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I feel like you're going to hate me for this, but I don't like this film. I was a bit disappointed, maybe because it had been hyped up for me by so many different people. It does have quite a cult following, and I was one of those people that purposely kind of put it off because I want Michael. I love Michael. I think, he's a great... Halloween was kind of like, in my opinion, one of those films that kind of blew up, possibly started the slasher genre, and this was such a huge turn away from that. But like you say, John Carpenter and Debra Hill, that was their plan all along, wasn't it? They wanted this to be an anthology series of films that are all centered around Halloween night, with each sequel containing their own characters, settings and storyline. So I don't think John Carpenter actually wanted to carry on Michael Myers. It's probably why he tried killing him off.
Clear. Yeah, he's trying to kill him off, trying to, like you say, trying to get rid of him plenty of times, or initially had no plans for a sequel. So yeah, I mean, fair enough. Yeah,
I didn't actually realise that John Carpenter and Debra Hill had anything to do with this. If I'd known that they produced it, I probably would have watched it a long time ago. So
yeah, the same sort of people, production people behind the scenes, and a lot of same creative people as well. Just a different direction. And I guess if it didn't have Halloween, maybe you'd like it more if it didn't have Halloween in the title. If it was just a film called Season of the Witch, maybe more people, not just you, but like everybody would maybe accept it more.
Absolutely.
If it was that from the start.
I agree. If it separated itself from the Halloween movies, if it had separated itself from that and just been Season of the Witch, then that. But then again, it's not really got anything to do with witches, has it? It'd just be the season.
Conor Cochran's, I guess, yeah. Like Conor Cochran's talking about the kind of, the history of, I guess there was kind of wizards and witches and Irish Celtic folklore and all that kind of stuff. So I guess that's where the Season of the Witch comes from. And the bit where the television with talking about Stonehenge. Stonehenge.
But
But yeah, it's it's not like right at the forefront. Obviously, there's some creepy, weird stuff going on in that factory, and he's a kind of malignant force of witchcraft and bad stuff in that village. In that town, Santa Mira, of course. And that's another thing that maybe I like about it, is that there's everything to do with it. I like T-shirts with Santa Mira on them. I like things with Silver Shamrock on them. I like the three icons of the artwork is amazing for it.
Yeah,
that loads of people do. So like, the computer screens at the beginning and the TV adverts and the 8 more days till Halloween, Halloween, Halloween.
Happy, happy Halloween, Halloween, Halloween. Happy, happy Halloween, Silver Shamrock.
Wow, you were really getting into that.
Your math song, kids.
Well,
yeah, I love it. I love it. It is like of its time, and I do like Tommy Lee Wallace, and I think he's aware that like more people are coming around to it now than at the time. But he's one thing about John Carpenter is he's loyal, isn't he? Like even in I think it's like 2020 or no, not can't be in 2020, but maybe in the late 2000s or in the 2000s, he let Tommy Lee Wallace do the sequel to Vampires with John Bon Jovi as one of the.
Oh, I wondered what that was. I see that one pop up the other day. Yeah. Oh, okay. I didn't realise that was him. Yeah. I've seen Vampires.
So that's mad that like John Carpenter just still looks out for his friends, still gives them things to. And he is a good director. Like some of this stuff in this film is really, really cool visually.
Yeah. I feel like this is kind of a. Yeah. I feel like it's kind of a love-hate movie, and I think this would have made much more sense if they'd done this as Halloween 2, because by this point, we've already, with 2 movies of Michael, they've already kind of solidified Michael as the main protagonist for Halloween. So I think that's probably what confused a lot of people. They've done 2 movies of Michael and then Season of the Witch, which was nothing to do with it. I reckon if they just did the first one and then this one as the second, it would have made a lot more sense.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's like he's a bit of an obtuse character, isn't he, John Carpenter? So almost like the moment it's his most successful character and successful film, so of course he doesn't want to do it.
Yeah,
it's like the film that he put his heart and soul into and that people loved. That people didn't love at the time but love now. Like The Thing we talked about before, didn't get a good response and a good reaction at the time. So Halloween did get a good response, good reaction, made lots of money, and they're like, "Do you want to make some more?" And he's like, "I'd rather not."
Yeah.
And like now he literally has the barest, tiniest input into the films and just lets the money come rolling in. Like he might do the musical thing or something like that. He's just like happy, just happy days for him now, isn't it? Just chilling out.
Yeah.
But,
I think
it's a strange one, I must say.
Yeah, obviously this got quite a bad reception when it came out, and I think, well, as the result of that, they went back to Michael Myers for the 4th one, and it's literally called The Return of Michael Myers.
Yeah, just to make sure everybody knows.
Yeah, he was like, you can come back now, we've bring Michael back.
It's a shame. Like, I mean, it's just it's often not always about the quality of the film or how good a film is. Sometimes it's about timing, and maybe it works on its own. There are things about it that are very old-fashioned, which people might not like these days. Like we said about Dr. Dan. Like he's a doctor, but he's an alcoholic. He is literally patting nurses on the backside. He's often boozed up. He seems to have had an affair with everyone that he meets. This is the hero. Like, and even with Ellie later on, she's clearly younger than him. They even make a real point of saying that, significantly younger than him. And he's just like, all right. It's like Quagmire, basically. It's Quagmire, but like the hero of the film is playing Quagmire. But I can't help but like him because I think Tom Atkins' genuine niceness and just general character comes out. And I believe from what people say, he is just the loveliest fella you could ever meet. So it kind of makes sense that he's just likable regardless of what he does. And plus, at the time, I think, smoking, drinking, philandering guy was a hero in the 80s.
Yeah, we've mentioned him a couple of times on the show. I think he was in Creep Show, but I forget which story he was in. Was it The Crate?
Yeah. Do you know what? I can't remember which one he was in. I know he was in it. But I can't for the life of me remember what he was and what he did in it. But he does pop up in some really great horror films, mainly horror films. We're no stranger to talking about John Carpenter. We've done quite a few of his films already. Something that we've spoken about is how he likes to reuse the same actors in his other films. And I know Tom Atkins, he was in Escape from New York and The Fog. And what's funny about his character's name in The Fog, he's called Nick Castle, and of course he's the guy that plays Michael Myers. Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah
he's good at everything. I've never seen him in a film and been like, oh man, he's great. I think he is good in everything. It's just it's like to be the lead in a Halloween film and Michael Myers only pops up on TV. People are going to just be angry at anyone, aren't they? I wonder if it was Kurt Russell as the lead, I wonder if it'd have been different, because another John Carpenter favourite, he loves to have Kurt Russell and everything.
Yeah.
Whether it'd have been a bit different.
I think it'd be a lot more
I can't
serious.
imagine Kurt Russell being...
Yeah.
I can't imagine Kurt Russell being as sort of a sleazy character in a way, though. He just doesn't seem to have that in him. He's like Tom Hanks or someone like that, where he's just like a good guy, except in Death Proof. Which to be fair isn't a very good film.
Yeah, that's all I've really got on this. The budget was 4.6 mil, and it made a box office of 14 mil. So yeah.
Yeah, it's just the massive success of the original Halloween. You're constantly chasing it.
What's weird is this actually has a higher critics rating than it does an audience rating. The audience rating is 28%, but the critics rated it 50, which ain't that bad actually.
I imagine if there was like tons and tons and tons of slashers and Halloween went in a different direction, maybe the critics kind of appreciated that more than audiences who were still ready for slashers.
That's true, yeah, and this is 82, so a lot of films haven't...
Like, they were ready to move on, but
yeah,
the fans weren't.
Yeah. But yeah, that's pretty much all I've got for pre-spoiler notes, unless you got anything you want to add.
No, I really like the credits as well. I just love the... all the kind of any of the technology in the film, I think, is just so good. And also to remember that Tommy Lee Wallace, he's a guy who's like stepped in for a bit as Michael Myers, props, music, done everything, costumes, done everything in that crew. So I think it's pretty cool he got to direct this. And it. I really like that. I really like that loyalty that John Carpenter's got. It's quite rare to have loyalty to people who help you out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, that's all I've got, really.
I'll hit that spoiler warning.
Spoiler warning.
Alright, so on October the 23rd, 1982, in Northern California, shop owner Harry Grimbridge, clutching a jack-o'-lantern Halloween mask, is pursued by mysterious men in suits. He collapses at a shop of Walter Jones, who calls for help. Harry is taken to a hospital and placed in the care of Dr. Daniel Chalice, an alcoholic doctor who has a strained relationship with his ex-wife and 2 children. Yeah, you can say that again. Did you notice Nancy Kyes, who's playing Linda Chalice, his ex-wife? You know, she played Laurie Strode's best friend Annie Brackett in the original Halloween, and a little bit of opening scene of Halloween 2.
Well, she does a good sort of angry wife character in this, to the point where I didn't recognise her.
No.
Like, she's that sort of 80s killjoy, frumpy wife who, you know, who you're supposed to like go, oh well, no wonder he's having affairs. Good on him. Like, they kind of had it there. So, like now it'd be like, oh, let's think about this marriage, work on it, and he should have more respect, and then maybe she'd be happier, and she shouldn't have to be doing all these valid points. But back then it was just like, oh, no wonder he's off having a good time. She's awful.
Yeah, I almost didn't recognise her actually. But what was...
No, I didn't recognise her.
First Halloween was 78, wasn't it? So that's only 4 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know this hasn't got anything to do with him, but I'm sure we'll get to the reason later. But these people in suits, they were giving me serious Michael Myers vibes, just like the way it was filmed and the score. You got a very heavy Carpenter score. Anytime one of those people like steps on the scene, and you get like a very emotionless look, and you keep getting shots of their legs or behind their head. So I'm assuming, you know, Carpenter had, I don't know, did he have much to do with this?
I mean, I don't think so. To be honest, what I got was that he, beyond the music, he kind of left it to Tommy Lee Wallace. I've got so many questions about that, because it reminds me a little bit of like when Tobe Hooper did Poltergeist, and everyone was like, "Oh, it's Steven Spielberg, really?" You know, like, because there's a Spielberg element, and he produced it and things like that. And you start to wonder then how much of an input certain people have. Surely they're friends and they're working on it together, and they're all a big collective that kind of got that first film up and running. Then it's not unbelievable to think that he had quite a big say on this. I'd imagine if he wasn't happy with it, he would have said. But it's kind of it's just a strange one. But like the story wise, it reminds me a bit of some, like, say, a little bit of like In the Mouth of Madness or something like that. That's Carpenter, you know, so it's kind of Carpenter-esque. It's not a million miles away from something he would have come up with.
Yeah. It's amazing how much just even a score can do for a scene. Because John Carpenter is kind of like the OG person that can like do such an impactful score behind a certain scene, or even just a person. You know, even like Michael Myers and like these guys in the suits, you see them and you get that dun, or what, you know, heavy kind of synth sound.
Yeah. Well, that's it.
He's the man for that.
Yeah, it's great that he's done the music for. I think the music in this across the board is brilliant. It's interesting they used because they'll use like London Bridge is falling down. Like it's like you don't know what's free and what's not free sometimes, because like Happy Birthday isn't free, is it? So like, what London Bridge must be, I don't know. Maybe because you can find a composer of Happy Birthday, but you might not be able to find who the composer was of London Bridge.
Happy, happy Halloween, 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 happy, happy Halloween, Silver Shamrock.
One of those assassins who you're talking about at the beginning, I think is Dick Warlock from Halloween 2. So
no way.
It wasn't Michael Myers.
Which one was that? Was that the one that got squashed?
I'm not sure which one. I don't know, but that was only something I found yesterday. But it's funny because you say about like when he pops up on the TV, it's almost like goading people, isn't it? When he's in the bar, like it's only a little bit into the film, and Michael Myers pops up on the thing, and it's like that almost is there almost to just piss off the fan.
Yeah. All right. So later that night, Harry is murdered by another suited man, and then pours gasoline all over himself and sets himself on fire in his car. After identifying his body, Harry's daughter Ellie meets Daniel to talk about the suspicious events surrounding Harry's death. They decide to investigate and travel to Santa Mira, California, hometown to the Silver Shamrock Novelties Factory, which made the Halloween mask that Harry carried the night of his death. As they check into a motel, Daniel learns that Harry had stayed there in the past. Yeah, that was a cool scene. You get quite a lot in that short period there. Brutal death from eye poking. That guy just jammed his thumbs right in there. Didn't they say that he like tore his skull apart or something?
Yeah,
and that's when that's when you get the first kind of hint.
Gooey.
Yeah.
It's quite a gooey film, actually, in general, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's some quite gooey bits. And it's unusual. You're not expecting it to be like that because, like, Halloween isn't a mega gooey film. At least the first two weren't.
No.
Whereas this one's got like more squishy bits.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, the Halloween 1, I don't think you really get any kind of blood, do you?
No, I mean, I've just been watching all that Friday the 13th, and there's bits with, like, grabbing hold of people and squishing their heads and things like that, whereas Michael's more stabby stab, isn't he?
Yeah, I remember we did say when we did the second one, they amped it up a little bit.
True. Yeah, there might be a few... Oh, they've definitely gone more in that direction with the sort of practical effects and things like that in this one.
Yeah. Yeah, I really like the scene where he sets himself on fire in the car. But why did he need to do that? Why did he have to kill himself? Because he made it all the way to his car. Why don't he just drive off? Why did he have to... He could have just...
What are you saying? You're finding plot holes in this film.
I'm not trying to ruin it for you, I swear.
No, you can't. I don't think you could, because I think I know a lot of it is, doesn't make sense or doesn't hold up to a lot of scrutiny. But I think like the fun factor kind of wins out for me. So that opening is very different, and it does change quite a bit when it changes locations and it goes to the town. Then it's a completely different film. Well, before that, in the hospital and home, it does change a little bit, I think.
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, another thing. I'm not sure why Dan, being a doctor, has kind of taken it upon himself to become a detective. I mean, he's How many doctors just kind of like drop their home life in your work and just to go investigate something that, quite frankly, doesn't really have much to do with him?
I'll tell you who does. The doctor from American Werewolf in London. He does.
Yeah, that's true.
He does exactly the same thing. Maybe it's just a strange trope or something. I don't know.
Because it's fun.
Just to kind of, he has to be involved, but he's also has to be there when it happens. He doesn't seem like he's that arsed in anything other than drinking. But then maybe Pretty Girl,
Yeah, he just wants some action. He just wants to go where Ellie wants to go.
He'll solve this murder because she's a pretty woman.
So, Marge Gutman, another motel customer, discovers a microchip on the back of the medallion of one of her masks. The medallion emits a deadly energy beam into her mouth as she picks at it curiously with a hairpin. Her face is left mutilated and an insect crawls out of her mouth. Shortly after, men in lab coats take Marge's body away in a silver shamrock van. Daniel overhears the factory technicians describing a misfire to factory owner Connell Cochran.
Yeah, he's a good character.
He is, actually. I quite liked him, yeah. He's like
he's a good baddie.
He's a very typical kind of villain. He reminds me a bit of like a James Bond villain.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. He is a bit like a James Bond villain, I think. He's OTT, like a lot of the film. He's over the top. He's a big character. He is worthy to be afraid of as well. Like, he's creepy and weird and dangerous and just mad as a hatter. And everyone talks about how wonderful he is and how great he is and how he's he's like a cult leader.
Yeah, yeah.
Which I think is pretty cool as well.
I found it funny how he asked, he was like, "Oh, where are you taking her? Are you taking her to the hospital?" And he was like, "No, we're taking her to the Silver Shamrock factory."
Yeah,
he's like, "Oh, okay, yeah, that's the place to go."
And that's funny because that's Tom Atkins' wife in real life at the time.
Oh, really? What? The woman that plays Marge Gutman?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So
okay.
he's getting it on with this woman in the next room.
Oh my god!
while she's being murdered. Obviously not for real, but still.
Oh wow, that's interesting. Yeah.
He must have had to been on his best behaviour.
All I've got in my notes for this bit was Dan is a bit of a piece of shit, to be honest. He's got his ex-wife at home taking care of his kids. He was hitting on the assistant coroner, and now he's having sex with Ellie.
Yeah, and he was patting the nurse on the bum as well earlier on and saying he should have done more late nights with her or something.
Oh, God.
And he's in the bar, and he's like probably drinking and driving. He loves to smoke his tabs. He's an interesting one. But I can't help but love the guy.
It was the 80s.
It was the 80s. It was a crazy time.
No,
but no, you look at him in those kind of, you're judging by the things he does and says that he's terrible.
Yeah.
But like in terms of fun, go getting hero, I think he's pretty cool. I like his character in that sense. He takes us from one place to the other. He has quite a nice chemistry, I think, with Ellie, even though they make it very clear that she's young by saying things like, she's like, "It's okay, I'm old enough to, get it on with you." But
that was another thing that made me laugh out loud as well when he was like, "Oh, I can get another room, or I can sleep in the car," and she just looks at him and goes, "Where do you want to sleep?"
Yeah. She's like, "Where do you want to sleep, Dr. Chalice?" And he's like, what's she called, Groombridge or something? Grimbridge. I always forget her name. But he's like, "Well, what a stupid question, Ms. or whatever it is." Then it's like, let's get it on. Straight away.
Oh,
yeah.
dear. Right.
He's irresistible to women. He is perfect in every way.
It's the moustache. Hey! Okay, so while Daniel and Ellie tour the factory the following morning, Ellie finds her father's car guarded by more men in suits who stop her from getting closer to it. They attempt to call the authorities as they flee, but Daniel cannot reach anyone outside of the town by phone. Ellie is kidnapped and taken to the factory. Daniel follows and is captured by men in suits, revealed to be androids Cochrane created. Wow, okay. So when Dan kills one of those guys in suits and it's revealed to be an android, I don't know. It didn't shock me. I was looking for a reason the whole way through. It didn't appear. I didn't think it was. I didn't think it was going to be androids, but it clicked in my head. It clicked in my head because the coroner woman, she said earlier that she couldn't find any human remains, like no bone fragments or anything. So that'll be why.
Again, we're applying logic. A fatal mistake if you want to enjoy this film.
It just seems like every other scene of this movie, there's something else that they layer on top of it. And we're like, oh, and also, we've got this. We've got robots now.
It has everything.
Actually, talking of robots, that robotic dummy, the old woman that was knitting in the chair, that was creepy as shit, that was.
Yeah. There's loads of creepy visuals in it, and it's not like, it's a silly film in lots of ways, a silly, fun film, but then there's moments where, and I've watched it with other people, where I've gone, oh, you'll love this, it's really silly, and they've gone like, oh, it's actually a bit scary, or I don't like that. And I've gone, oh, right, okay, I totally forgot, I just thought it was silly and fun all the way through.
By this point, I'm getting really sick of that Silver Shamrock commercial.
It'll go around again, though. The next time you watch it, what you'll find is you'll love it. And you'll love it even more and more and more, to the point where you're like me, and it gets to Halloween, and I'm just walking around the house 3 more days till that.
Oh, no.
Happy Halloween, Silver Shamrock.
I've been doing that at work. The last 2 days at work now, since I've seen this, I've just been humming it to myself, like, yeah.
Works.
I feel like they're trying to make you feel what it's like to be brainwashed by watching this film.
Yeah.
Especially with the flashing lights.
It's an immersive experience.
Yeah. I mean, they really go to town on it.
It works for me.
So, yeah, Cochrane takes Daniel to the final processing control room and reveals his plan. The microchip on each mask contains a fragment of Stonehenge that he stole. Upon viewing the big giveaway commercial, the microchips on the mask activate, killing the wearer with brain damage and releasing a swarm of insects and snakes that kill anyone nearby. Cochrane locks a masked Daniel in a room and explains his plan to resurrect ancient rituals from his native Celtic lands, sacrificing children at Samhain, the pagan celebration of the coming winter. Oh yeah, that's a lot to take in. We've got Stonehenge now.
Yeah, we need more stuff.
Yeah,
more horror stuff.
An ancient sacrificial circle. Yeah. All right.
Put it all in a pot. Mix it all in. Everything from horror. That's what we want.
Yep. I mean, Stonehenge is in Salisbury. That's literally like an hour and a half from me right now. I can go get some right now and make a magic laser rock that turns people into cockroaches.
You should do that, and you should have done it for this episode. It's a bit lazy of you that you didn't. And like, we could have done it live from Stonehenge.
Yeah.
Streamed it live.
I've got the sound as well. I've got the commercial. It's cool. I like the visuals. I don't really understand it, but I like it. You know, the kid wearing the mask and it's like rotting away. I don't really understand how the parents died. I think the dad got bit on the ankle by a snake and that killed him somehow. Yeah,
it's again it's just I don't know, it's just fun. I'm not going to explain any of the things or try and explain them because I think I'm way past that. I'm past saving. I'm just like, it's amazing. But the sort of the weird stuff. I'll put it this way: I'd rather be like confused than bored. And you're never bored. Even if you don't like this film, you're never bored with it. Like no one's going to sleep, and it's not a massively long film either.
No.
It's like just over an hour and a half, and some of the design work and some of the special effects are really, really cool as well.
Yeah.
It's really good to look at as a film. Even if you switch the sound off, I think you'd enjoy this film. I did really like the scene where the kid wearing the pumpkin mask and it was starting to rot and it was stuck to his head and it was peeling off. I actually wish there was more of that in this movie, considering that's kind of what the whole film is about. You know, these masks and it kills kids and all that.
I kind of wish that they had more.
Yeah. So what would you get rid of, like the hotel sex?
I don't know.
The couple, like the couple who go around the, around the factory on the factory tour, they're like something out of like a National Lampoon Vacation kind of film.
Yeah.
They're like really broad comedic characters that just pop up, and Ellie and Dr. Dan, they're basically like almost more grounded than they are, and kind of just kind of letting them get involved. But basically, they just let them get killed.
Yeah.
So that they can get a bit closer to working out what's going on.
Actually, thinking about it, I'll tell you what I'd change. Well, not so much change, but to have more of the mask rotting scenes. I think is he a homeless guy? The guy that they kill off, the guys in suits. They get that guy, the drunk guy outside. I reckon they should have put a witch mask on him, and they should have done it to him.
Yeah, there's always these comments, isn't there, about like misfires or like it's not a perfect system. They're quite happy to have a lot of things, go wrong in order to do this thing, which is essentially what he describes as just a prank on children.
Yeah,
a prank. A prank or a joke. It's a strange one by killing everyone. It's a bit of a strange prank. It's not one that you can think of as just want to try on April Fool's Day or something.
Yeah. I did. I know you told me to look out for Halloween on the TV in our last episode. Yeah, they got it twice, didn't they? One in the bar and then one now when Cochran puts the mask on Dan. I think it's a skeleton mask, and he puts a mask on Dan, and then he switches the TV on, and then Halloween's on the TV.
Yes.
Does that technically make this movie a meta movie, as Halloween existed as an actual film?
It does. This is the real timeline. This is all the real stuff, and all the Halloween things, all those other Halloween films, just movies. This is real.
Yeah, because this is more real than Halloween, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, Daniel escapes his bonds and rescues Ellie. He sneaks into the control room, activates the commercial on the screens, and pours a box of medallions from the ceiling rafter, killing everyone. The Stonehenge remnant kills Cochran, and a massive fire destroys the factory. As they flee, Daniel is attacked by Ellie, who is actually an android, which he destroys after a struggle and a car crash.
What twist?
Yeah. When did that happen? But she weren't an android the whole time, was she?
No.
When did she become an android? And where is she? Where's the real Ellie?
These are all excellent questions.
I need answers.
The good thing about this is there's a lot more questions than there are answers, so you can keep watching this film over and over again, and you'll never get to the bottom of it.
Oh, God.
You know that it's an interesting one, because I think originally the director that John Carpenter wanted for this was Joe Dante, Gremlins. I wonder if he'd have just been like, because I listened to Joe Dante's podcast, and he's a bit of a grumpy guy, and I just wonder if he'd have just been like, this doesn't make sense, like, you need to write this again. Whereas like your friend Tommy Lee Wallace is just like, it'd be fine. Yeah. It's like, we'll work it out.
Has John Carpenter ever come out and said what he thinks of this one?
Not that I'm aware of, but I don't think he hates it. I think at the time, because he was forced into bringing Michael Myers back. He wanted Michael Myers dead, like it was the producers.
Yeah.
Is it Akkad, who comes up on the thing, who was kind of really in control of everything. So like when he sold the rights later on, the new owners straight away bought back Myers and Loomis. When he brought them back again, killed them again, and then brought them back again. So it's like, he was just sick of it at this point, I think. But it's cool that he's just gone to his friend. You write it. You write the film and direct it. Let's go. Whereas, like, I think as somebody maybe a bit more experienced might have questioned some of the storyline things and maybe streamlined it. But then we wouldn't have the crazy fun mess that it is. So, from my point of view, I wouldn't change a thing.
It's funny as well because throughout this whole film, I'm watching all this crazy shit, and then when Dan breaks out, he because I think he's still tied up, he flicks the mask up and it lands on the camera to block the camera, and I just shout out loud, I go, that would never happen. And then I'm thinking, oh, actually, considering everything else that's happened in this film, that's probably the most believable thing.
And that's it. And by the end, like, I believe there's loads of different endings, so maybe even Tommy Lee Wallace wasn't 100% sure what he wanted to do and what he wanted to say. Just like make a cool film.
I found out.
It's like,
sorry. No, I was just gonna say I found out when I was gathering my trivia notes. It took over 40 takes for him to get that shot of the mask on the security camera.
Oh, really? Wow. Yeah, it would me too. I'd find that really difficult.
But yeah, fighting. Yeah, when because this is after the car crash, isn't it? When he's fighting with Ellie. She just keeps coming back and back for more, doesn't she? At one point, he's fighting with a severed arm.
Yeah,
that's like a
Terminator kind of thing.
Yeah,
or something. It's thinking about the story, and I only just popped into my head because I only found it out yesterday that it went through a few different writers, and once even sort of touched upon by Dino De Laurentiis, the executive producer, and then translated back into English, and then when Joe Dante didn't want anything more to do with it, and the original writer didn't want anything more to do with it, it was then given to John Carpenter, who had a little go at it, and then literally just right before it was made was given to Tommy Lee Wallace. So he's essentially got this mishmash of ideas.
Oh, wow.
And they're like, right, we're just about to start making the film, and he's got this incomprehensible film in front of him, and he has to try and make it into a movie. So actually, he's done pretty well to make it into even to make sense in any, like, it works in a story, as a simple story about him going to this town and, there's a guy there who does, it's like, I imagine there's about 6 or 7 different plot threads from different people's ideas in there that he's had to kind of put into the film. So, yeah. Fair, I don't want Tommy Lee Wallace to get all the, because apparently he's the only name on down as writer, but other people were like, take my name off this film.
Oh, okay. Oh, wow.
So yeah.
All right, so we're getting towards the end now. He flees on foot to Walter's shop and frantically contacts television networks, attempting to stop the commercial broadcast. He succeeds with 2 networks, but seemingly fails with the third, despite screaming into the telephone, pleading with them to stop. Yeah. What does he shout at the end? Stop it. Stop it.
Turn it off.
Turn it off.
Turn it off. Stop it. Stop it.
Do you really like that ending?
Yeah, I do. Only because I've seen some really cool cartoon pictures of it as well, with like big speech bubbles and his face all like staring. So like, I do like the ending.
Oh, okay.
I know that, it's one of those where it's like, oh, is that it?
That's what I was like. I had a real problem with it because it was right at that point where it was drawing me in. And I got so angry when it ended. I'm all for leaving a film open for the possibility of a sequel, but not like that. I felt like they were right in the middle of a scene. I wanted to see where that was going. But
it would be cool to find out what happens next.
Well,
I can't imagine this is the sort of film that would get a sequel.
No. Well, I found out apparently what was going to happen after the cut-off at the end. Over the credits, you were going to hear cries of all the dying children, but they got rid of it thinking it was too much.
It's fair enough.
Yeah.
People probably might not like that.
Yeah, I think Tom Atkins came out and said he was relieved that they didn't do that.
Yeah, and even like all the witchcraft stuff, all the stuff to do with witchcraft and all that doesn't you don't really, that kind of just goes off and then you end up with the androids and the mind control and the different, like it kind of goes off in a different direction. But the actual witchcraft side of it, I think, was written by this original British author. I can't remember his name, but he's the guy that wrote the Quatermass experiment. So he's like, there's loads of lore and history and all this kind of stuff, but then it just goes into like gooey worms and androids and stuff like that, which for me makes it more interesting. But I can understand why people might just be like, at the end of this film, he's like, stop it, switch it up, and they just go, what the hell was that?
Yeah. All right. Okay. Well, that is the whole film.
Stop it.
Okay. Let's just go ahead and rate this film. I'm gonna rate this from 1 to 10 silver shamrock commercials.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll be honest, I'm not a fan. Aside from the fact that they completely changed the storyline from the movie that arguably started this slasher genre, I mean, that aside, it was all just a bit too weird for me. I like some weird films, but if you were to describe to someone this movie, they would think you were on drugs. And to be honest, I've got a strong feeling that drugs were maybe involved in the making of this movie. It's really all over the place. I mean, androids, Stonehenge Island, magic bugs and snakes, laser beams shooting into your mouth, fighting severed arms, and of course an A-class Michael Jordan throw of a mask onto a security camera. But on a more positive note, I like the kills. I think it was really creative. You see some things that you don't typically see, so I guess I can understand why it does have a cult following. But for me, this will probably, I don't know, maybe I'll give it a go next year, next Halloween. I'll try again.
I think you should watch it again, definitely.
Yeah.
It's not boring.
No.
No. It's a good one to watch with people.
Yeah. I reckon I'm gonna go ahead and give this a generous 5 out of 10.
Wow. Okay. So I feel like to balance it out, I need to give it 10. I am gonna give it a 9 out of 10.
Okay.
I'm gonna give it 9 out of 10 because I just love it. Mm-hmm. All of the things that you said about it are true, and they are also what I think makes it awesome. I like weird, crazy films, but it's not so weird and crazy that it puts me off. It engages me. I find Dr. Dan quite a hilarious character of his time. He's got good chemistry. Like Dan O'Hurley, as Cochrane is a really cool character. I like the pace of the film. I like the look of the film. I like the iconography of it and the artistry, the music. It's got so much going for it. It's so much more fun than a lot of slashers. And I think that's maybe what also counts against it when people are really looking for more slashers. So it's brave. There's a swing and a miss, I guess, in lots of ways. Not all Tommy Lee Wallace's on his shoulders. I think he was just doing the best he could with it, and I think he did an incredible job, actually. So for me, I'm giving it a 9 out of 10. Dr. Dan's of his time. I don't behave like Dr. Dan. I don't know many people who do, or any people who do. And I'm not condoning the way he did, but I do think he's such a cool character in this film. I do love Tom Atkins. I have a lot of time for him. So yeah, we've got a 5 and a 9.
Yeah, all right then. That's cool. All right. Sweet. Let's jump into our trivia section now.
Trivia. Oh, yeah.
You probably might even know some of this, as you're such a fan of this film. Did you say how many times you've seen this? I remember on the last episode, you say you watch it every year, and
yeah, maybe in upwards of 10 times, I would say. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Cool.
Not as many as some films, but like more than most.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's see if you know some of this.
I won't.
When Dan fills in the register at the motel office, he scans the list of names for evidence of Ellie's father's stay, and most of the names that are on the list are actually the names of the crew.
Oh. Yeah, maybe. There's a few things like that where I'm sure like the name like John Carpenter or something pops up somewhere as well. Maybe I'm not sure.
Yeah. This one is quite cool. Using the original molds, the skull, witch, and the jack-o'-lantern mask seen in the movie were mass-produced by Don Post Studios and sold in retail stores to promote the movie's release.
Oh, yes. Yeah, I heard about that because it was hard for the people who wanted to make the figures to get the rights to do it. So that's why like it took a few years to start when people really did want Halloween Season of the Witch figures, which I have some of. Then now you can get loads of them because they've been licensed to loads of people now.
Yeah. All right, cool. The fluid coming out of the androids' mouths is orange juice concentrate. Nice and easy.
Healthy. Yeah.
During a panel at a Halloween convention, Tommy Lee Wallace was asked to explain the connection between Stonehenge, Ireland, robots, and laser beams that both melt flesh and conjure bugs and snakes from a human body. Wallace's entire response was, "It's magic, man."
I like it. He's got to defend his film, hasn't he? He's got to be like, "Do you not get it?"
Yeah. That's what it is.
What's your problem?
This one I did know. In Halloween Kills from 2021, 3 of Michael Myers' victims are displayed wearing the silver shamrock mask on a merry-go-round. I do remember that, actually, yeah.
I remember that. I was quite excited about that because I was like, oh, maybe it's going to, have something to do with that, but it doesn't really. That's where it stops, really, isn't it?
And the last one, the voice of the phone operator that Dan keeps hearing is Jamie Lee Curtis, who plays Laurie Strode in the original Halloween.
Oh, yeah. I didn't know that. I that's a new one for me, but again, it's cool. The family, the John Carpenter family.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. That's all from my trivia. You ready to take this week's game?
Yeah, I've been doing pretty well recently, so I'm feeling quite confident.
All right, I'm expecting full marks from this one.
I want to play a game.
All right, the Halloween free quiz. You claim to be a big fan of this movie.
Oh, no.
And you've seen it multiple times. So I'm going to test your knowledge of Halloween 3, the Season of the Witch.
Oh, man.
So, what day does Halloween 3 start on?
So what date? Or
Date.
Yeah.
What's the date that the movie starts at?
Oh, my maths is terrible. 22nd of October?
Ooh. Very close. It's the 23rd of October.
Damn it!
Okay, what type of mask does Harry have in his hand at the beginning of the film?
He has the pumpkin mask.
or if you're American, a jack-o'-lantern.
Jacko, yeah.
What town is the Silver Shamrock Company located?
Santa Mira.
Yeah, you knew that.
I knew that one. I've got t-shirts with that on.
How many TV channels are bought to broadcast?
Oh, is it like something stupid like 1,000?
No, only 2.
Oh. Okay. Oh yeah, it's the 80s. You'd have to get the streaming rights as well.
What crawls out of Marge's mouth after her face is mutilated?
Worms?
Yep, I'll give you that. Okay. What does Daniel use to destroy Ellie?
Is it a robotic arm?
No,
I can't remember.
No,
I only watched it yesterday.
He uses a tire iron.
Oh, that's metal.
Yeah,
I was close.
He smacks her head clean off. Okay.
Just like in Killer Clowns.
Yeah.
You're going to knock my block off?
What is the name of the assistant coroner who investigates the car explosion for Daniel?
Is it? It's like a character or an actor name from, or somebody from. It's probably like something like John Carpenter or something like that, or Michael Myers, or something very obvious that I don't know the answer to. I'm not sure. Nick Castle, don't know.
No, it was Teddy.
Oh. Damn, it was Teddy.
And that is all.
Game over, man. It's game over.
I think I got about 50% of them right, maybe.
Yeah, I think you did actually. Yeah.
I get more right on films that I've only seen once.
Yeah. All right, cool. And that is all. Just to wrap up our episode, next week we're gonna be reviewing a genre that we've not really dipped into much, and that's going to be The Evil Dead from 1981.
Ooh. I have seen it a couple times. The last time I watched it, I liked it a little bit more. I'm always really trying to like it. It's just one of those films that I've just never been able to get into. And then I'm working my way to trying to like the second one, because I do quite like the first one now.
Yeah. I recently watched the new one that had come out, Evil Dead Rise, and I really enjoyed that. It was a good one.
Yeah, it has some good.
Different.
I think it had a really good beginning and a really good end. Maybe I kind of lost interest around the middle, but I definitely enjoyed the beginning and end of it. So.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Cool. You got anything you want to wrap up on?
No. So so we're on to the Evil Dead next. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's get those Deadites.
81. We're going backwards. We're getting older.
I know.
All right. Yeah. Cool. If you've liked today's episode, be sure to go and like us on Facebook. That's where we announce our next episodes, as well as each month doing a themed poll pick where you get to choose what you want us to watch. We like to hear from you, so please feel free to leave us a comment or send us a message, or you can even email us at allthingshorror666@gmail.com. That's all for today. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the next one.
We all go a little mad sometimes.